Welcome back to Help Me Understand. Thank you all for so much love and support. I'm sorry that sometimes our videos don't post on time.
Yeah.
This YouTube internet thing is a little crazy and
And
stressful.
we newbies, we don't know how to work all this stuff.
Like at all. So please be patient with us with that. But thank you for wondering where our videos are. We appreciate that so much.
Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about Black parenting, and to get it started a little bit, we're just going to talk about, how we think parenting should go. You want to start with me?
It doesn't matter. Well, I think personally, so I'll give a little bit about myself with my growing up. I think it was really well. I grew up well. I think a lot of my problems were because of me. I was making bad choices or getting in trouble, so that was like my own punishment, well deserved. But growing up, it was parenting. I think my parents did a great job. I think I will, in my near future, because I'm not close to being a parent whatsoever, nor, but I think I will use a lot of things that my parents did. Like, I think I was very well raised. I feel like there's some things that I didn't like, of course, and I will definitely change that. But how was your life growing up?
There, honestly, I have to be honest here. And I'm probably going to say some things that you guys are like, why would she say that? I mean, but it's okay. Y'all not going to agree with everything I say. Neither is she. We not going to agree on all that. But growing up in my household, I got disciplined a lot, like very frequently in ways that I probably should have not gotten disciplined. But and there wasn't, my household was consisted of like a tough love, suck it up, like I don't want to see you walking around moping, like you don't, basically, like I felt like I didn't deserve to be sad because I had so much around me to be happy for that being sad was just, and that just goes back to like the fact that Black parents don't really take mental health issues and problems as serious as they should. Like, how the whole like pray and, we can pray all we want to, but that's not gonna help the issue at hand. God is listening, of course, but it's like, what can I do right now to make how I feel better? And so I feel like I was really struggling mentally, and I didn't receive help with that. And as far as the discipline, I do not agree with whoopings or any of those kind of like physical disciplinary actions, because like I said, I got very disciplined, and I didn't see any use for it. Regardless, I still did what I wanted to do. I still didn't care if I knew I was gonna get a whipping or not. I didn't care. It didn't help me. So it's just like, and I just feel like there's a lot of different ways to discipline your child without having to, put your hands on them. And me personally, I can't see myself physically hurting my child. I just could not see myself doing that. And that's why, I feel that way. But I can see why parents would, smack their kid a little bit on the butt or give them whipping, something like that. I can understand it because sometimes it works for children. Sometimes it is what gets them in line. But how I see myself in my future and raising my children, that is just not a factor for me.
Yeah, some of that discipline stuff, it is crazy, but I personally think whoopings do work. I think it's better to like whoop your child when they're like super young, like younger, because that's when they kind of are still realizing pain and it's like, ouch, that really did hurt. I think it works for them. But once a child starts to get older and starts to realize, okay, yeah, this whooping's gonna hurt for 5 seconds, then I'll be okay, then I think you should go through other types of disciplines. And that's what my dad did to me, and it definitely worked completely. Growing up, I did get whoopings when I was really young, but eventually I was I was a rebel child, so those things, I didn't care about it anymore. But then my dad started taking those more important things to me away. And I think that was kind of like also a really great strategy because it worked.
Yeah.
And I'll never, my dad started small and went big. I mean, there was for me, like, at times I couldn't listen to music, like no TV, no video games, no nothing. I mean, anything I liked to do, my dad would take it away. And it started to work. And eventually I was getting in, I guess, so much trouble. My dad's last option, and many of you know me, I played soccer my entire life until college. And so eventually my dad took soccer away from me. And that was for me like the last straw. He would make me go to practice, but my dad was also my coach. So, but he would not let me play at all. And that was huge for me. You know, I stopped getting in trouble. So I definitely agree with you. I think that there are other ways to discipline a child, and I think those ways will work more in the long run.
I really think it just comes down to knowing your child and knowing how they're going to react to certain things. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I got whoopings, I would kind of laugh a little bit because it didn't hurt me, but my sister would be terrified. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And so I really think it just comes down to knowing your child and knowing. Because like all your children are not gonna be the same. They all gonna be different. They all take my phone away, and that was another thing. I don't care if you take my phone away. There's other stuff I can read. Like I don't care. You know what I mean? Like it's just you have to like really get to know your child. And also I think it's important I've noticed like Black parents don't really do this a lot. Really explaining to their children why this is not okay, or when they're disciplining them, making it known this is why they're disciplining them. Like, you did this, so I need to let you know this wasn't okay. So as a consequence of what you did, this is what's going to happen. And I feel like a lot of Black parents don't really talk to their children and converse to them. They think since they're children, they won't understand. But children can retain a lot of information and are actually very smart. So it needs to be more conversation, not that baby talk. Like, you need to talk to your children as if you know they'll understand what you're talking about. You know what I mean? So they can become more receptive to things that they know they shouldn't be doing. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think it's a little opposite sometimes. I think like white parents do that more. Mm-hmm. Like they do the Timmy, that wasn't a good idea. Go to your room, and then they come out. And then everything's fine. And especially for myself growing up, when I did get in trouble, I knew the consequence. Right. Like, my dad made it very clear what was allowed and what was not allowed, the rules, the chores, make sure this is done, or there will be consequences. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I love that. I mean, because regardless if I was making that on my choice, then that's me. I have to deal with those consequences. But, like, I feel like white families do that a little bit more. They're just like, come on now.
I just don't, and that's like a demeanor thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not about to listen to somebody that's like, I'm not gonna listen to you either. It's you know you shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? It's a difference. It's a change in the way you're talking to them. Like, you can still explain to them, but talk to them sternly. Mm-hmm. In your voice. Look at them like, you really got me messed up. Yeah. But like, white parents just be like, hey, man, like, you know what? Go to your room.
Right. And not all, of course, because I've seen both hands. I've seen, but it's just, that's funny.
Yeah.
Because they do. They just be like, you know better than that. And then they just get a little slap on the wrist, or I could do the same thing. I'm on punishment for months.
Right. Like,
because my parents don't play that.
They don't play. Black parents do not play.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Black parents, because they don't play. You're not about to have white kids be out here screaming in public, throwing temper tantrums, all that nonsense, and you just see all Black people look at each other like, somebody need to get their kids. Like, Black parents is not about to have that going down. And I truly believe that if we're out in public, you better act like you got some sense. You got all these, because as soon as they see your kids are a reflection of you. They see your kids out here acting a fool, they gonna look at you crazy like, what does she be doing at home with her children? Do she not care? Do she let them run amok? Like, I'm not gonna, my kids, we out in public, y'all gotta act like y'all got some home training, some manners. And like, that's the difference. Like, I feel like with white families, like, they don't really implement like respect and like knowing how to carry yourself in public, not feeling like you're obligated to certain types of treatment, not feeling like you're, like the whole privilege thing. Like they literally, because if your parent is allowing you to do whatever you want to do and giving you whatever you want to get whenever you ask for it, you're going to go out into the world and thinking that you're going to receive that treatment from everybody else, and that's not, you have no obligation to anything from anyone. So I think that's good what Black parents do. Like, there needs to be a limit. You can't just constantly give your child whatever they ask for. You have to, this is like, you know what I mean? Like that, because then you get that sense of
that like medium.
Yeah, that privilege. And no, you get the going in public acting crazy. Like, it's just not about to happen. And then also with Black parenting, that I feel like is good is cleaning. That goes a long way. I am truly thankful for how hard my mom made me clean. Like, you know what I mean? She would come home like, I need to smell bleach. If I don't smell bleach, you gotta redo. That was a little excessive. But cleaning every Sunday, hearing that church music going like that, you know what I mean? It might be annoying when you're a kid, but as you grow older, you start to appreciate those types of things because you're realizing that in your own home everything is nice and you like it to be that way. You know, as everybody should be clean. You know, you need to be cleaned. The dishes need to be done. You need to clean that bathroom. It has to happen. You know, but granted, it feels better when you're older because nobody's like hounding you, telling you to do it. You know what I mean? But that's when I think it becomes a little excessive, when it's just like every little thing your parent is asking you to do, but they're not doing anything as well. Like, I don't feel like you should make your children wash every single dish when you using those dishes as well. I don't think that should be a thing.
Yeah, I just think for me, we had chores growing up. Well, see, I see what you're saying, but then I think of the bigger picture. But like, it's because it's like, well,
I'm taking care of everything.
Yeah. Right. It's like, yeah, I'm asking you to wash some dishes, but I'm not asking you to give me rent money. You know, there's very cases that children do have to do that. They do have to take that responsibility of probably paying their house for their parents. Right. So it's like, it sucks, but I think it's very important to make sure you instill morals and principles in your child while they're young, so they will grow up to do these same things. And for me, I hated it when I was younger. I remember some people would tell me their parents would pay them or something. Like, no, we didn't get paid, but like, it was like, good job, you did what you're supposed to do. Yeah. But for me, I value that in life now. I'm a very clean person myself, so it's just like, everything that I did kind of hate when I was younger, I love that it's in for me now because I see that many people are not like that.
Yeah, allowances, absolutely not. You are not getting an allowance. That's not happening. No, I'm taking care of you. What am I paying you for? What am I literally paying you for? I think when it comes to like the chores and stuff, I think there can be certain chores, but when it gets to the point where all the children is doing is cleaning for you, I'm feeling like I'm a slave. I used to feel like a slave growing up. Like, dang, this woman got me scrubbing the damn floors. Like, I didn't understand that, which is why, like, I feel like when I have kids, like, you know, y'all gonna clean something. Y'all definitely gonna clean something. But I'm not gonna make it to the point where y'all feeling like a slave. Cause that's how I feel. And I don't want my kids to feel like that. And y'all I don't agree with that allowance thing. Like, if you need money, you can, for sure. What do you need money for? Let me know. You know, what you need this for, I'll give it to you. That's fine, no problem. But I'm not about to just give you money every week just cause.
Yeah, I think, but some parents do the allowance thing to more so teach their children about money. Mm-hmm. And if you have like a good intention on that, then of course I think that's okay. Because I've seen that work in a different type of light. Mm-hmm. But I personally was just taught money without that.
Right, but, without having to do that. Yeah.
But I do think some parents do that like as a learning aspect. Mm-hmm. So like, I think that's pretty good.
For the money and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
But then personally talking about also with parenting, having different parenting styles. So my parents are divorced. Mm-hmm. So my father's discipline ways and my mother's discipline ways were different. Mm-hmm. So that was, I think, hard on a child growing up because when your parents aren't connecting like they should be, or regardless of a divorce or not, being on the same, level, understanding, then that can be hard for a child to learn. And I think that was probably a lot of like for me, because there was things I could get away with my dad, but I couldn't with my mom, and vice versa. So it's like I had two different like discipline ways, and it was like my mom eventually kind of started to like, she went easy on us out of nowhere. I will never forget this in my life. Like my mom was such a strict parent when we were young, like where I know personally for me, like I used to like kind of really dislike going to my mom's house because like she was always, I knew it was gonna be something, like we had to do this, do that, and it was like, oh my gosh. And then literally I went to my mom's house one day and it like all changed because she just felt like, she's like, well, you guys are at the age now, I shouldn't have to do all this now, you have to learn on your own. And she just became very laid back with us, and I think my brother and I both did step up and do what we just need to do automatically. And but with my dad, he continued the strictness, which was fine. Like I didn't mind it, but so I think that can also be a struggle with Black parenting and white parenting, making sure that as adults and parents, you have to be on the same page, so your child isn't getting all that confusion and, you know, going through all of that too. So,
and just what sucks with that as well, it's like a lot of Black families are growing up where there's only a mother, you know what I mean? And it's just like now she has to take on the job of being a mom and a father, you know. And I know it's especially hard for a mom to raise sons because there's a lot of things that, especially Black sons, because there's a lot of things that a Black man needs his father, you know what I mean? In that, and that really sucks because I feel like these Black parents can't, that father, the Black father can't instill in his Black son the things that he's seen and he's grown up and the way he's living and how a Black man should carry himself, you know what I mean? And then you get the situations where the father's not in their lives, so now these little Black boys are going out into the world with half the knowledge and doing things that they shouldn't be doing, you know what I mean?
And it sucks.
And it's really bad because like Black moms have this hard workload on them, you know what I mean? They have to take care of everything, and it's really terrible that Black women have to go through that, and we shouldn't have to be that strong to the point where you have to feel like you got to take care of a whole family, you know, by yourself. So then when you're a single parent and you got these little Black babies and they're all different in many ways, you know what I mean? And now you have to figure out how to take care of all of them. Like, how can you even do that? And learn all these different personalities, and learning how to discipline all these kids. And that's why when a lot of females, we grow up and we think like, dang, my mom was really hard on all the girls in the family, but kind of lenient with all the dudes in the family because they lack that father figure to keep them in line and keep them straight. A mom can only do so much for her son, but there are certain things that she won't be able to understand. Now with her daughter, it's like I know the struggles of being a woman. I'm trying to, some moms may come off a little stronger because they care so much to the point where they just really don't want these young girls to fall in the same predicament that they may have been in.
And even vice versa for the man being the only parent in the family. And personally, but I do think there also are a lot of Black moms out there that can do it. And I think my mother did it. She had my brother, and I think he came out as a strong man. Like, you wouldn't think, you know, that in that such beginning time that he was just with, you know, only a mom, you know. And luckily, personally, for my life, like, my dad stepped in and took my brother in as his own. So that my brother did have a father figure. And eventually his father came back and tried to start over too, which is great. And so it's like, but it does, I agree. Like, I mean, all that kind of sucks because you gotta, as a woman, you gotta learn how to have that mean side, man side, grit, you know. And then as a man being that single parent, he has to kind of be soft, and then, you know, with the whole society, that's not a thing. So for men, so it's like,
it's just fried. Like, and like when my mom has two sons, and one is, he just turned 14. When he only lived with us for 2 years, and my mom went and had him go with his grandparents because there were more male figures in the household, and she was so nervous to like that he would come out and be, you know, because he's surrounded by all these girls and he's playing in heels and stuff. But it's just like that. It's just a kid. They don't know what they're doing. Like, they don't know. He's 2 years old. He doesn't know. But it's stuff like that. That fear of not knowing how to raise your son. You know, your black son. I mean, and where they're already going through so much. They need to know how to defend themselves because we out here getting killed by these police. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How can a woman, you know, really truly teach their son how to be a man in the streets? You know what I mean? How can you really do that? Like, you can try your hardest, your absolute hardest, but you just have to, it comes to the point where you have to understand that men just relate on a different level that women probably would never be able to understand. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff that men do that we be like, why? Like, why? Like, why? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that's the difference between, you know, black and white families, because a lot of black families grow up in single parent households, whereas white families usually have like that married couple, which, and not all the time, but it's more prevalent in white families. Yeah. So it's just terrible to me.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think it can definitely be done, because eventually, regardless, as you get to that one age, yes, your parents are very still involved, but now you're watching society. You're seeing how society moves. That's where those influences come, you know, nurture versus nature. Like, those are where those things come. And because, you know, sometimes your children don't turn out right. Yeah. Or sometimes your children are not an example of you at all because that's not how you were raised, or, you know, just different things like that. So it sucks because at the end of the day, do I think you can blame the blame is all on parents? No, because, you know, eventually they grow up in, I think, you know, society and the environment, it's just as much as the blame. So it's just like, it sucks. But with the parenting, I don't know. I think the white, black parenting, I think there is a big, you know, difference for sure. Like, but do I think there's some very much similarities? Yeah, but there's probably more differences.
I don't know. I just feel like when it comes to the way like black families parent their kids, I think that it's better. You know what I mean? I think that successful they know how to bring in that love, but also be hard on you at the same time, and kind of show you that, you know, we don't have the advantage, you know, in life right now, and they want to show you that to their best ability, show you how to maneuver through life without having those advantages. And I think that is more important because it kind of shows you to appreciate what you already have and kind of strive for better at that point. But I feel like black people are amazing. Like,
they are. But I will say, I think, you know, back to, I think we spoke about this earlier, that I think the only thing that black parents need to do a little bit better is about like the mental health. Yeah. And because even in my own family, I mean, I vaguely remember my sister saying something about a mental health, and my parents, my father and my stepmom, I mean, they kind of laughed at her. And I think, and I don't know, but I definitely understand why they did, because, you know, if we really date back to generations and stuff, mental health wasn't cared about, you know, as much as it is in society now. It wasn't like that. I mean, I imagine me with sports concussions. Kids had concussions, probably 20 concussions, but they still played. And it's like now today, you get any type of hit in the head, you have to go through a whole 5-day process to get back on there. So it's just like to get back on the field or court. But mental health, I think black families need to do a little bit better of like really understanding that you do have to maybe be quiet, sit down, hear what your child is saying, you know, instead of always being so, you know, in order. Like, let's make sure, because I think I would say for my dad, like, he was very super sweet to me, super caring to me when I was younger, And I grew up very with that tough, especially me playing a sport. My dad was a very suck it up type of person. But that started probably when I kind of got a little bit older in adolescence. But before that, I had never really saw that out of my dad, because it was always like, daddy's little angel, like, Liz, are you okay? And then it kind of switched right into the, okay, what are you crying about? Or if I'm crying about a boy, when it was younger, my dad's like, he would literally knock on my door like, can you shut up? Like, stop crying. Like, what are you crying for? Yeah. And then, would just shut the door and leave. And it's just like maybe having that more sensitive, or, hey, let's figure out, what's wrong. And I think my dad tried, but also I think it goes back to his childhood.
It's this generational curses. Like, and I just feel like, it all comes from a good place. The tough love comes from a good place. But you have to realize, like, it's really hard to, like, having mental issues impairs daily function. You know what I mean? People don't get out of the bed because of this. And it's not a weak thing. It's not weak. It's literally your brain, something that you physically cannot help. So it's just like, I think Black parents can just have a little more empathy and just kind of understand that they're where their children are coming from. Like, like less, I was young, I went through it, you can get through it too, and more like, it's just different ways you can say it. Like, I know you can get through this, but let's talk about what's going on. You're strong enough to get through this. You're my child. I know you can, but we can still talk about it. That's the most important thing. And that's another thing. Black families don't talk about issues that they have within their household. It doesn't come up. Like Black moms, like, they'll dog your ass and then come next day, you want something to eat. That's not an apology. It's not an apology. They deserve that apology, because at the end of the day, there needs to be mutual respect. You have to respect your child as much as you want them to respect you.
Yes, and I think because that also I feel like parents don't understand that, like you said, it plays out in your daily life. So, hey, if my mom can come to me, we get in this big argument, the next morning, hey, what's up? I might do that with my next boyfriend or the next friend I have. Then those problems aren't getting figured out.
It all comes from your parents, And I was just talking to my therapist about this. I said, I literally am realizing how much of what I went through in my childhood is affecting my daily life. Because she was asking me, why do I feel the need to bottle up everything that I go through? Why do I feel the need to not talk about it? And I said, well, when I grew up, we didn't talk about any of our problems. I didn't get to talk about nothing that I went through. The second that I tried to talk about it, it's just like, get over it. You know what I mean? Like, just get over it.
Yeah.
And you don't just get over it. This is stuff that we need to talk about. And that just goes to what we talk about with the toxic masculinity and why men feel they can't express their needs, because that wasn't a thing growing up in their household. They didn't talk about their problems. You know what I mean? And as far as like now, I have issues with intimacy because I didn't grow up receiving physical touch or receiving affection or love, or my family, we don't give each other hugs. Like, I try to hug my little sister and she's cringing. Like, why is that a thing? Like, we should be able to hug each other and feel that warmth, that physical warmth. But it really all starts with your parents. Like, you know what I mean?
And I think it starts with in their parents. It's like this generational thing, because how your parents were raised, they most likely will kind of fall back into those things, or they learn from it. Exactly. And I think that's important. Parents and people like us, we have to learn from it. And that's what I did. And I took, and I will, like, I learned from what my dad went through with his parents. And I see that that's why, or in how he treats me sometimes. And it's like, but I'm ending that cycle. I don't want that cycle to continue.
Unlearn the things that you learned while growing up. You have to unlearn that and learn a new way of doing things that's comfortable for you. And that's what I say about the whoopings and stuff. It's not comfortable for me because it wasn't a thing. It didn't work. So it's like, why would I do something with my children that never works for me? This is my seeds coming out of me. You know what I mean? This is a part of me. So it's just like, obviously, there's certain things from your childhood that you may think that is good to have with your children, but that's fine. But I think that the most important thing is that we're all individuals, and you're going to be a different parent than your mom was, and you have to understand that. So you have to think of, what do you think works for you that is in a more positive light? You know what I mean? And take that and parent. If you want to discipline your child, so you want to give them whoopings, fine. But it's important to realize that you have to kind of soften the blow a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it also sucks when you're kind of just like your parents in a sense way. And I think that's where my dad and I, like, just personally bump heads so much because we're such the same person. Yeah. And so it's just like, we just bump heads a lot. But, like, you know, my dad is my best friend and so is my mom. And I think as long as I think it's just important that you create those, you know, relationships. And I think that's a good thing about Black parenting. I think they do. Mm-hmm. I think most likely in most cases, your mom and dad are very close to you. Right. And for me, I'm close to both of my parents. And I agree with you back on the, like, respect thing. I think that's huge and I think that's important. And it's like something I'm trying to teach my dad. Like, I'm an adult now. Like, at the end of the day, you have to respect me. You can't talk to me crazy anymore. You can't just say what you want and expect me to, like, sit there and listen. Yeah. Like, I don't have to. And my mom just made it such an, like, she made it very important. Like, I will respect my children. Like, I'm not going to talk to them crazy. My mom, especially my mom and my brother's relationship, they're very much like that. Like, respect me and I'll respect you. Right. And when they don't, sometimes they won't talk. And it's sad to see, but I'm a little bit more respectful than my brother, I would say, in that sense. I'm just not going to ignore my parents or not talk to them, but I'm gonna be like, give me a break.
Because you know, and that respect thing, it needs to happen when they're a child, because when they grow up and you have that mutual respect, it's like you have to realize as a parent, one of these days your child is no longer gonna need you, so they can easily cut you out of their life. And you're going to feel some kind of way about that because you're going to want to talk to your kids. And you have to think about, when I get older, who's going to take care of me? You done salvaged your relationship with your children because you didn't respect them as a person and their needs. And that's what I think also with Black families, like I said, it's the most important thing is to understand that we are all individuals. We have our own individual personalities. Your child
and issues,
and your child may be a completely different thing from you, and you probably be like, okay, yeah, that's a little interesting. But to shame them for being that way is unacceptable because that's the loss of that respect. Just as much as like when we talk about like their children being gay and stuff like that, like that's the life that they chose. It shouldn't directly affect you. You know what I mean? This is something that you have to understand. Or if your child turns out to be emo, that's not really common in Black families because Black children aren't allowed to express, you know, their own individual personalities. You know what I mean? So, or if their child is like really into like anime and that's just like their whole personality, like stuff like that. Like you may find it a little bit odd and weird, but that's okay. Like it's not your life. You know?
And I think it's just important that, I mean, but I will kind of disagree. I'll say that it does affect everybody. If you're in that you know, close family, it's going to affect everybody, and it's just also letting your child be yourself. Like I remember, I have an example. My dad was upset with me that in a picture of mine I didn't have on a bra, and he thought that was just very disappointing. And it's just like, you know, there's a lot of things but that's just who I am. That doesn't mean my moral, you know, I'm this horrible person just because of that act. But
I think it depends. I feel like if you raised your child on certain values and they're just, I think it's personality and values and morals can be kind of interchangeable, because it's like I could value the same thing as you, but our personalities are probably completely different. You know what I mean? So it's like if I raised you to not be out here, you know, being a hoe or dressing crazy, like, you know what I mean, stuff like that, but this is stuff you're doing, then that's when I can understand that, okay, because this is my child, you're a reflection of me. People are going to see you out here doing this. They're going to say something to me like, what's up with her daughter?
Exactly. Like, and that's why I do think everyone is affected. So it's really like, just I understand what my dad was saying. Like, I get what you're saying, but also tell them my daughter's almost 22 years old. Take it up with her. And don't compare me to my child. You know, that's how I would feel, because if my dad was to do something bad or something came out and he's a criminal or something, yes, that's my father, but we do things differently here. So it's just like, yes, it's just but having the mutual respect. Well, yes, I didn't raise you to possibly not wear a bra and some clothes, but you're 20, almost 22 now.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like parents don't like realize when their kid is like getting old and like,
Yeah, just
you know what
growing
I
up.
mean, just like,
And
it's kinda
everything's
hard
not
for
gonna
them
be
to-
the same anymore.
It's not, and that's just something you kind of just have to like come to terms with and stuff.
But I'm understanding. I understand. I've never been in that place. I don't have a child. I don't know. And that's why I feel like I'm such a, me and my dad, like, you know, we'll argue so bad, then we're great, you know, the next few days, because I understand, and I think then he eventually understands. And I think that's important. Like, we do sometimes come to this compromise, or sometimes we just compromise to disagree. Like, it's just, it'll happen, but just trying to move forward. Don't hold grudges as a parent.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous. Because a lot of parents will hold grudges against their child. And I think I saw something on Twitter about the phone calling. Like, I should never have to call my child or something. You know what I'm talking about? That
Children should never have to like reach out to
their parents or something like that.
And
that's I don't know. I think
I kind of feel two ways about it. I feel like it's good to check up on your parents and make sure they're okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I can kind of see when it comes down to it, like, children, I think the most appropriate thing to say is that children should not try to build that relationship with their parent. That's not their job. My job, if our relationship is impaired, it's not the child's job to fix that. That's what I think. It's the parent's job to fix it, especially if, you know,
probably situational, depending on like, you know, who's at fault or like the whole like, story and blah, blah, blah.
If a parent is just completely insane and just, you know, is just doing these things to affect their child, that's not their child to fix what's going on with their parent. You know what I mean? But if a child does something that is just inappropriate or deserves to apologize for it, that's another thing. But if a relationship is not okay because of the parent, it's not the child's job to reach out to the parent. That's
and I think and important in that tweet, she said child. So I think it depends, because also as you get older, then I think, okay, we're two adults here now. So whoever, whatever. But regardless, I feel like maybe seeing where that tweet was coming from, it probably would suck. Like, when, you know, your mom's like not calling your phone, or even if you're mad at her, she's not, you know, but to me, that's more like selfish, like really, or prideful, like get over it, fix it.
Right.
Somebody got to be the adult. And if it's the child at that point,
and that's
then
just
it's the child.
Half the time, you know, the child is the adult. The child is more mature. And I know for my situation, I'm 10 times more mature than my mother. She is insane. So it's just like, I know that it's not up to me to fix me and my mom's relationship, because I don't do anything. You know what I mean? It's like, it's issues that and that's why I think it's important for Black parents to fix the issues that they have growing up, and issues that they have in their, you know, before they have children. Because if you don't fix those issues, it's going to directly affect your children.
Yeah, that's why I think it's crazy out here, all these young people having children. I mean, it's
so much to work on.
It's
so
crazy
much
because
so much to accomplish. You know?
I mean, and you have to figure out yourself. You have to figure out every issue you're going on, because now once you have a child, everything affects that child. And I think people just think, oh my God, I want a kid. Like, no, this changes your life forever.
Yeah, it does.
Forever. You can't just go, I don't know. And I just feel like people don't take it seriously sometimes. But also, I think there's a lot of young parents out there that are doing fantastic. And I've seen it. My high school, personally, for me, my town, everyone's pregnant and everyone has a child. And I've seen some families, they are doing great.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. But then I see some people talking trash about their marriage all over social media. And I'm just like, come on now, you're an adult now. Like, fix that at home privately. Like you're not in high school anymore. So it's just like, it sucks, because I'm hoping as generations go, like, we'll see that be okay, not a problem anymore, because I think people are very concerned of all these young people having children, but I'm hoping that us young people also can just make sure our children are raised correctly, so it won't have generational problems. But
well, I guess to end, because Shorty got class in 5 minutes, I would just say that there's a lot of things, obviously, those generational curses, you know, we have to break those. As you know, kinfolk, we gotta change it, because some of these ways all of them aren't positive and aren't working. So
I agree. So thank you all for watching. Please continue to subscribe and look out for our videos. Please make sure you're commenting. Feel free to DM or email us on anything and let us know what you think, or if you want to be a guest on the show, please let us know. And we will see you next time. Thank you for watching.
That was good.